I'm Jennifer Swarthout from Jagged Edge Acrylics. Welcome to Art Creation TV. Today, as you can see behind me, I have a basic background of an ocean, and we're going to study ocean waves and their structure and anatomy. It should be fun, so let's get started. Okay, so on my palette today, I have a couple colors that are essential in almost every painting when you are doing seascapes. So I have titanium white, midnight black, phthalo blue, and yellow. This is a sun yellow, but you can pretty much use any yellow. It's used for the eye of the wave, which we'll definitely get to here in a little bit. I have a 1-inch brush. This is a raw style, but any kind of oil painting brush that's 1 inch will work. It is natural hair. This is a blender brush. We're going to use it to blend out the eye of the waves, super silky smooth. This is a Filbert brush. It's a small Filbert brush. And this here is a number 3 round brush. We'll use it to add details and the foam patterns into the wave. I'm not quite sure yet whether or not we're going to use the fan brush and the 1-inch brush, but I have them out and I thought I'd talk about them just in case we do. So let's set them down. I'm going to start out with the Filbert brush, and we're going to mark out where we want our waves to go. So we're going to do that with a dark color. We want a darker color than what I have in the background because the crest of the wave is going to be dark underneath where you have your shadows. So you'll just pull a little bit out, just a little bit of paint, just enough to draw on the canvas with because we're sketching right now. So I thought our first wave would start right here. This here is known as the crest of the wave. And hopefully you can see that. It's going to come up. This is the crest. And it's going to come over. And this here is the dump of the wave. The eye of the wave is right in here. This is the part that you want to leave relatively paint-free. And then you come down here. This is your dump. So you have the crest. This is the part that gains momentum where you come into like a corkscrew for your wave. So all your patterns are going to come here in this direction because we're coming up and we're falling over. So underneath here, this is some foam. This is the dark layer of the foam that you're going to have in here. And this right here, up in here, this is the dump the wave, the part that spills over and creates all these nice foam patterns. We're also going to want to have some splashing up going on in this direction, but we'll work on that later. Now I also want to show you how to do a wave in the background. So we'll put one right about here. We'll go ahead and we'll clean our brush and we'll start making distant waves. With the Filbert brush, I'm going to dip into some white. We're going to use pure white here because it's going to mix with our background color, which is a mixture of blue, black, and a little bit of brown. I have the brown in there to kind of tone down the blue. Now with, like this, not this drastic. You definitely don't want to make it this drastic, but with little rocking motions, you're going to pick up the paint from underneath while creating these little crests in the background. And keep wiping your brush off because you're definitely picking up some paint and you don't want to contaminate the white that you have going through there. And come all the way through. Wipe your brush and continue on, leaving some of these dark areas. These dark areas are extremely important. That's what puts the movement in. The bigger the rocking motion, the bigger the wave in the background. Now I want my sun to be brighter through here, so I'm going to make sure that I get a lot of these little white caps in the middle, where that sun is really striking down, and I'm going to let it fade off and get a little darker over in here. You keep making the rocky motions until you are happy with what you see. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm working on the background reflection of the sun in the ocean. And how we're going to do that is we're going to concentrate some pure white in the middle and allow it to fade out, mixing with the blue underneath as we get further away from the center where our sun or our light source is going to be. Now once we get to where we've decided our background wave is going to be, we're going to take this dark line that we've left here and pull it backwards. Now our crest, if you can kind of see it, is it's right here. So we're going to take this and we're just going to pull it backwards. This creates what's considered a trough. It's the deep part that dips down that creates that shadow behind the wave. With a clean Filbert brush, come in and lay some foam patterns, flipping it over so that you keep the clean white on top. Now this wave is in the background, so we're not going to worry too much about detail, but we do want some because it is a larger wave than what we have further in the background. Get some pure white on your brush and just pull it straight down, tapering off as you get to the edge. If it's too harsh, you can come back in and blend it out. Now since this is churning over, you will want a little bit of a splash underneath. Once again, not too much detail, but you do want some. Now when you get to this part, the crest of the wave, your brush strokes should come down in this direction. Be very careful with the brush strokes that you use. If you were to put them this way, it would be an unnatural motion of the wave. Like I told you before, you want a corkscrew. It's going to come up in this direction and dump over it this way. So you're going to grab and pull in this direction. Allowing it to blend out into nothing. Now maybe with this wave we still want a little bit of an eye. So let's come in here and mix some white with just a little bit of yellow on our Filbert brush. We're still using the Filbert brush. Come right into the center here. And just add that light. You can come through here a little bit if you want it to, so that it looks like the wave is catching light all the way around this way. Blend it out. And come in under with some deeper shadow underneath this foam. Now once again, just like we did with the background wave, with the foreground wave, we're going to make sure that this area in here is darker than the rest of your ocean. So we're going to take this outline that we've already put in with the basic shape, and we're going to pull it back. By doing so, we're not only creating the proper form of the wave, we're also creating depth. And once you get the proper formation of the wave, the crest, the eye, and the dump, along with the foam underneath, complete with shadow and highlight, waves really aren't that bad. It's quite simple to make a spectacular Seascape as long as you know the proper form of the wave itself. So let's begin to work on our foreground wave. And we'll put what we've learned with the background wave into action with the foreground wave, creating just a little bit more detail than we did in back. Now, in order to show depth in our wave and in order to show the light of the foam, we need to add in some darks. To do that, we're going to get some phthalo blue on our brush, and since we have a darker background here already, we can just lay in a small underpainting. Make sure your brush strokes go in the proper direction. Our wave is crashing this way. Our brush strokes need to come down this way. They're going to lay flatter as we come off to each direction. And when we get closer to the eye of the wave, they're going to start standing up straighter. And then they're going to come back this way again, working flatter to flatten themselves back out. Now, if you'll notice, I didn't go all the way up to the top with my dark color, and that's because with the sun being back here, the eye isn't the only thing that's going to show light through. It's also going to be a little bit lighter here underneath the foam. Now, once again, in order to show the light of the dump, we need to put in some dark. So I'm going to do the same thing over there. I'm going to actually add a little bit of black to my phthalo blue. And I'm going to come in and in downward motion, all the way up to the foam, I'm going to lay in an underpainting. So now it's time to add the eye. With a clean Filbert brush, we're going to get some pure white and yellow on the brush. Now, the reason I'm adding yellow isn't just because I want the water to be yellow. When it mixes with a little bit of this blue, it's going to cast a green tone, which would actually be correct if you're looking at the sun through the wave. Now, I'm going a little bit brighter than what this would actually be in reality because I want it to transfer to the camera. I want you to be able to see how this is done. So I'm going to come right up in here, right up to the edge. I'm going to put this bright color. Also, going to continue it out without reloading my brush along the top of this wave. And I'm going to pull this down in the direction that my wave is going. Now with my blender brush, which is extremely soft, almost like a makeup brush, I'm going to come in here and with the very, very corner, I'm going to just start working it in circles. Small, fast circles. What this does is it makes the eye blend together so silky smooth that you can't see the transition to the bottom. Come across the top, and I'm going to do the same thing here. But once I come into the dark, I don't ever want to go back into the eye of my wave. The eye of my wave needs to stay beautifully light. That's very important. Now the next step to this wave is to come in and grab some white and come across the wave and create a foam pattern. Now I am using the fan brush for this. You don't have to. We can continue to use the Filbert brush if you had wanted to. Now, before we do this foam, we want to do the dump. Lay your fan brush where you have your dark line, where you've laid it, and pull straight down. And you want to keep your brush clean, so wipe it off between each pull, otherwise you're not going to get this crisp white edge up here, which is what makes the water move. You can overdo this, and if you feel like you have, you're going to go in and I'm going to put on too much white so I can show you how to back it off. Now say you come in here and you go all the way down. Now you lost some of what you were going for. Now, it doesn't look too bad, but if you had wanted to darken this back up, all you have to do is come up from the bottom and push it off. You can actually darken it back up. See that? Now I'm going to go back to my Filbert brush here because I want to show you that you can do these foam patterns with either or. I'm going to mix up on my brush. On the palette here, I'm going to take some of my white and I'm going to take a little bit of this blue, and I want to make a good, maybe a little bit of gray, just to gray it up a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty. I like that. I'm making a good shadow color for white foam right now. Now we have this extremely dark color, and this is going to be shadow. Now we need shadow foam. You just come right along the bottom, creating, just swirl your brush, and you're going to want the dark shadow here too, making just random movements with your brush. Oh, got a little bit of blue in there. I actually like that. Let's do a little more of that on purpose. Okay, so now once I have a shadow under there, I'm going to come in and dot in a little bit of the shadow color underneath here. Now once you have that shadow color in there, you can come in with pure white now on your Filbert brush and come along this top edge. Just making random patterns along this top edge. You don't want to cover up all of your dark though, because that's what's going to give you that three-dimensional look. Now the reason I'm making the splash so big in this painting is because I do know that I'm going to have a rock here in the corner. Now if you weren't planning on having a rock, you could make your splash just as big if you wanted to, but you might want to consider making the splash a little smaller. One more quick thing that I wanted to show you before we move on to our foam patterns is creating some spray over here. Now I just dipped my brush into some paint thinner. I have a little can of paint thinner here, and into my white I've created a very thin white paint. I'm going to come through and I'm going to pull back on my bristles, and I have created a lot of spray. What this does is it gives you a little bit more realism when looking at this wave, some more movement, if you will. Now with the number 3 round brush, I'm going to go into some of the lighter white paint. Make sure that your brush is clean. and we're going to make random shapes following the direction that our wave lies. Don't make these uniform. This here is one of the most important parts of any wave structure, the foam pattern. You can certainly use a liner brush for this. I like the smaller round brush because it gives me some thicker lines, and I can get them pretty small if I want to. And these may seem extremely harsh right now, but we are going to blend them out some. Now with a 1-inch brush, or you can use the blender brush, but I've already used it and washed it today, pull out, pull all the way down, following the same direction. That's very important. It is possible to overwork these. You don't want to overwork them or you will be putting them back in. I'm going to flatten this out just a little bit. There is going to be a beach here. Now one more final thing to make your wave really pop is to go into some paint thinner. You want to go into some paint thinner and a little bit of your black. Come in here and roll your brush into the black. You can add some blue in there if it seems too bold for you. And come up underneath all of this foam and create some even darker areas under here. This creates shadow underneath the foam. Now you may also want to come in and do the same thing with the black and blue mixture or black and create some darker foam lines in here. And there you have a crashing wave. In part 2 of this video, I will show you how to add in the beach and some wet sand effect. In part 3 of this video, I will show you how to do a wave using spray paint. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I upload a video every single week, so stay tuned for more art awesomeness. I'm Jennifer Swarthout. Thanks for watching.